You had a conscious American citizenry listening to the slippery dude, refuse the question, see the Republicans line up who have refused to testify, ignore the subpoenas. Mm-hmm. If there was a conscious, I'm serious, legitimately concerned America, they'd be in the streets right now. I've heard a protest for a pro-impeachment protest. That's good. But, folks, what they have been doing to mother democracy for months now is giving them the big Republican finger right in the middle of their fist, right in front. I mean, it is getting way, way, way out of control. You have to admit that this guy's comments put Tricky Dick or any soft shoe backpedaler, rope-a-dope politician, this guy just surpassed them all. And it should infuriate Americans. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
It should. There should be at least 100 million Americans marching in the streets right now.
That was an incredible clip.
Yeah.
That sums it up.
Unbelievable. And I tell you what, we keep talking about Volodymyr Zelensky. You know, Jack, every time I hear the name Zelensky, I think of this.
America, if you need starters, spark plugs, ball joints, gaskets, camshafts, U-joints, or rocker arms, anything that can be screwed or glued to that car or truck of yours, come see old Ray. Hey, you want a guarantee? I got a guarantee stamped on every box. But more important is the guarantee that I make to the American worker. I want your truck to help you get the job done. I want your cruiser to get out there safely so you can clean up the streets. And I want your kids to be safe when you take them for a ride.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you, son. The name's Zelensky. I make car parts for the American working man because that's what I am, and that's who I care about.
Boy, I just love that.
That's great.
From the movie Tommy Boy, which also gave us this lovely clip.
I can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking my head up a bull's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
And I haven't played that in a long time, so that was worth it to get to that. But yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely amazing, and I've got several stories here talking about what's happened, including the associates that got arrested. Listen to this. This is by Paul LeBlanc writing for CNN. This is October 10th out of Washington. Rudy Giuliani was planning to fly to Vienna, Austria Thursday night, the same city where his two associates were headed to before they were arrested the night before. That, according to interviews he gave to The Atlantic and the Wall Street Journal. This is Giuliani's own words, folks. Giuliani, Donald Trump's personal attorney, shared his travel plans with Elena Plott of The Atlantic the day before an indictment unsealed on Thursday, revealing that two of his associates, Igor Fruman and Lev Parnas, were detained at Dulles International Airport Wednesday evening. The men, both central to the impeachment inquiry in the House, were arrested and indicted on criminal charges for allegedly funneling foreign money into U.S. elections. Yeah, $500,000, I do believe, is the amount. Fruman and Parnas were booked on a flight to Frankfurt, Germany to connect to another flight, according to a law enforcement source. Giuliani told the Wall Street Journal on Thursday the men were heading to Vienna and that he wasn't scheduled to meet the two until they returned to Washington. Meaning, by Giuliani's account, the three of them would have been in the same city at the same time, but would not be seeing one another. Let me just stop there for a quick second. Well, it's just coincidence that we're going to be in the same city at the same time. No, we're not going to go see each other. Yeah, really. I don't believe that for a second. Do you, Jack?
No, I don't believe any of it.
Oh, no, we're not going to meet up at all. Yeah, whatever, buddy.
Listen, the rats are jumping off fast.
Oh, yes, they are. Let me continue this story here. The Atlantic reported that Giuliani said that he cannot comment on it at this time about the circumstances of his planned trip after multiple attempts to contact him Thursday. Oh, God, this is great. He runs off at the mouth, and now I can't say anything. Yeah. Giuliani had lunch with Fruman and Parnas at the Trump International Hotel in Washington hours before the two were arrested, that according to the Wall Street Journal. Giuliani declined to comment to CNN on the report. News of Giuliani's planned travel to Vienna comes amid escalating scrutiny of the former New York City mayor after a whistleblower complaint released last month labeled him as a central figure in Trump's efforts to solicit interference from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the upcoming 2020 election. They say here, and I'm reading this, a transcript of a July phone conversation released by the White House on Wednesday shows Trump repeatedly pushed Zelensky to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter. Now, we've been saying there is no transcript, so I don't know if this is a different phone conversation or the same one. Not really sure at this point. There is no evidence of wrongdoing by either Joe or Hunter Biden. Again, that's according to American corporate-owned media. We'll see, because I'm not convinced. U.S. officials were concerned, the whistleblower said, with Giuliani and his contacts with Ukrainian officials. The whistleblower alleges that U.S. officials believe Giuliani was a conduit for messages between Trump and officials in Kiev, and that he was at the helm of a problematic circumvention of national security decision-making processes. Speaking to CNN last month, Giuliani said he has no knowledge of any of that crap in the complaint. Now it's crap. It's regicide crap that's been done by suicide bombers, Jack.
Yeah.
Let's just lay it all out there. We'll get to our Hammer Time Award in a little bit here.
No,
but
Republicans,
this is just amazing.
They're on a sinking ship, and they're starting to realize it.
Yeah.
I've got articles here of absolute treason to Trump. I'm using that because he's got all these mythical treasons, right? Mm-hmm. His own man, Giuliani, has already started to distance him very subtly, but he's had comments that would put it on to Trump's plate unilaterally. He knows nothing about these guys, et cetera, et cetera. I'm paraphrasing very quickly. But now even Pence, there have been isolated comments that Pence is doing the same thing.
Throwing Trump under the bus?
Throwing Trump under the bus. These guys know. They really know. First of all, forget these empirical evidences of his phone call and how not just egregious it was, but how impeachable it was. Forget those facts. The polls now, the national polls indicate a real ground shift just in the last 48 hours. The independents, for example, jumped, I think, 3 or 4 percentage points. That's a lot of people in favor of impeachment.
Yeah.
I know for a fact there's an impeachment rally in Saginaw tomorrow here in Michigan.
That's good.
And I think there's one right here in Grand Rapids as well. The momentum is something these politicians have their finger on, way advanced and ahead of us. And Pence and Giuliani both are already trying to find a back door. Yeah. And I hope, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats take your urging, because I think the progressive crowd who listens to the show need to tell the Democrats, hey, you're up at the batter's box. If you miss this pitch, you'll never get another one.
That's right.
You have got to hit this out of the park. You need to do it as fast as possible. You need to stop worrying about progressive issues. Stop fighting the progressives left and right. You need to focus on this and get some heavy hitters out there. You need to back up Adam Schiff. You need to save our butts.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and we keep talking. We talked before we started recording the show today that we've mentioned all these different officials that have been called to testify, and the Trump administration's interfering. Oh, no, we're not going to let this person testify. We're not going to let that person. You know what Congress needs to do? Congress needs to get the U.S. Marshals and start arresting people.
That's right.
Start filing arrest warrants and start sending them out, guns drawn, saying, you're coming with us. You're going to testify. You know,
that is not hyperbole.
Ignoring Congress is illegal.
Yeah, it used to be. But it is still illegal.
Yeah.
But when is this guy going to be stopped? You've been watching him prance around the bully playground of the United States now for months and months and months. Forget the fact he makes fun of crippled people and insults women and on and on and on. Forget that. He now is raping the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And his cronies are doing the same. Mm-hmm. Do you have any concept? Does anybody remember your civics class of what a democracy is, how it works? You don't stiff-arm subpoenas from the Congress.
Yeah.
And think you have a valid, verifiable democracy.
Contempt of Congress is a crime, folks. Whether or not you want to admit it, contempt of Congress is a crime, and it should be punishable. Send the U.S. Marshals out. Arrest these people.
This is a crime syndicate.
Uh-huh.
These bums, you see these guys sitting around, these Ukrainian connections with Giuliani and with Trump's sons. It looks like a picture from the Tropicana. It really looks like the Corleone family and the Provolone bunch sitting around. It does. And no, I'm not exaggerating.
I love that, the Corleone family. Oh, my God. I love you, Jack. Oh, God.
Well, I love Mother democracy.
Yeah.
I'm serious about this, Darren. We're down to the very last few. The patient called the United States of America and democracy. The beeps are going beep, beep, slower and slower.
Yep, it's going to flatline soon. But there is a little bit of resistance coming from people within the administration. I have this story. This is also from CNN. This is by Caitlin Palance and Manu Raju. And this is dated October 11th. U.S. Ambassador to the European Union Gordon Sondland, a key witness within the State Department and to Donald Trump's action on the ongoing impeachment inquiry, intends to testify to the House under subpoena next Thursday, according to his lawyers. So that'll be, I believe, the 17th of October. Sondland's testimony will come amid a significant week in the Hill's efforts to hear from witnesses about the Trump administration's dealings with Ukraine, the core of the House impeachment inquiry. Lawyers have been eager to press Sondland about text messages he exchanged related to Donald Trump's July phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the freezing of foreign aid to Ukraine. As of this morning, which is October 11th, Sondland hasn't received guidance from the State Department on whether he should appear under subpoena, his lawyer said in a new statement on his behalf. His attorneys, Robert Luskin and Kwame Monley, wrote in a statement, quote, "Notwithstanding the State Department's current direction to not testify, Ambassador Sondland will honor the committee's subpoena, and he looks forward to testifying on Thursday. He has no agenda apart from answering the committee's questions fully and truthfully." End of quote. Sondland planned to voluntarily appear on the Hill earlier this week, but his testimony was derailed that morning when the State Department blocked him from testifying. House Democrats issued a subpoena Tuesday evening demanding Sondland turn over documents and appear for a deposition next week. His attorney said that despite the subpoena for documents, they aren't able to produce any. That responsibility would fall to the State Department, they said. Quote, "Ambassador Sondland does not control disposition of his documents. By federal law and regulation, the State Department has sole authority to produce such documents, and Ambassador Sondland hopes the materials will be shared with the committees in advance of his Thursday testimony." End of quote. Jack, let me ask you, do you think that's going to happen? Do you think those documents will be shared?
No.
I don't think they will either. Sondland, a Trump donor and hotelier who has been EU ambassador since 2018, exchanged messages with former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine Kurt Volker and a senior U.S. diplomat in Ukraine about setting up the call between Zelensky and Trump and whether foreign aid was being withheld while Trump and his attorney Rudy Giuliani pushed for Ukraine to open an investigation into the business activity by the son of Donald Trump's main Democratic rival, former Vice President Joe Biden. There is no evidence of wrongdoing by the Bidens. Again, I still would love to see an absolute independent investigation into everything. Let's get it all on the table, folks.
Yeah.
3 committees in the House plan to hear testimony from 4 witnesses next week, starting with Fiona Hill, Trump's former top Russia advisor, on Monday, according to a source. Also on the agenda for next week are Deputy Assistant Secretary George Kent and Counselor Ulrich Brechbuhl, according to the source. While they are scheduled for closed-door interviews, it's possible they will not show up because the Trump administration's posture to block cooperation. Sondland may be in a slightly different situation because he was subpoenaed. The former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, whom Trump spoke negatively about on the call with the Ukrainian president, is scheduled to appear Friday in a closed-door deposition. Get him, burn him, Seriously, burn his ass.